Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Kayode. I'm the managing consultant for Kevron Consulting Ltd. I want to welcome everyone to this session on the P.M.P Certification Preparatory Awareness session with Kevron Consulting. At this session, we will be discussing about how you prepare for your P.M.P certification exams. We'll also be taking you through the changes in global education generally and how that has impacted on the P.M.P preparatory exam, especially for the certification exam. On that note, we have in our midst Mr. Homo Elaboye. Before we introduce our presenter for today, I'll quickly want to mention that please, at the end of the session, we'll be taking question and answer. The format will be that the presenter is going to be spending about 45 minutes to do a presentation on what we need to know as regards the recent changes in P.M.P certification and how well you can prepare. It's going to be taking us through how the methodology and easy method that we can take to better prepare for the certification exam. So we'll have that for 45 minutes, after which we'll be taking questions and answer. Myself and Elizabeth Abiodun will be moderating that session. Please, as the presentation is going on, if you want to drop your question, at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see a chat box. Or if you are saying more, if you click on the more section, you can see that you're going to see, just click on that and please drop your message. So as the session is going on, we're picking up those questions, and at the end of the presentation, we'll be asking the presenter to answer some of those questions. So we also require that everyone should put all their mics on mute. Please, all mics should be on mute. So thank you for attending this session. I'll quickly introduce our presenter for today, which is Engineer Homo Elaboye. Is a P.M.P certified manager. Homo is a QHSE and business process improvement professional. He has over 10 years experience in managing various engineering and management system projects across various industries and countries. Homo is a current chartered civil engineer, a member of Nigerian Society of Engineers, and has been a PMI certified project management professional for over 10 years. He has a postgraduate master's in business administration, MBA degree, and a BSc in civil engineering. Homo is a senior consultant at Hodgin Stable Solutions Limited and a renowned trainer with in project management, risk management, quality management system, and operational health and safety management system. He has in-depth experience in environmental management system and also business continuity management system. His experience spans across diverse industries, manufacturing, oil and gas, telecommunications and communications, public sector, security and digital security, services, financial institutions, construction, engineering, and of course the health sector. It might interest you to know that Homo has won several local and international awards in recognition of his achievement in training and consultancy, including the AfriSafe HSE Professional of the Year 2020 recognition, an award recognizing professionals across the Africa continent whose expertise, knowledge, and drive over the past 12 months have been substantial contribution towards the improvement of operational health, safety, environmental, and well-being in Africa. Homo has been a very close friend of Kevron Consulting and also a senior consultant with us as well. So on that note, I want to welcome Homo. Please join me in welcoming Homo Elaboye. Homo, please share your screen. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Engineer Kayode. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure being here. I think I can see some familiar names here. It's really an honor to be here. So I hope we all have a productive time for the next couple of hours. And thank you, Kevron, for having me as well. I'll share my screen now. All right. Can we all confirm seeing my screen? Can anybody confirm?
Yeah, I can see it, Homo.
Yes, you can see. Thanks.
All right. Thank you very much. Ufialgo, thank you so much. Nice to see you here. All right. So as Kari just said, we are basically discussing the roadmap to P.M.P certification. I tell people all the time that it's not about just getting certified or doing various certifications, but whatever has value to your career path is what you should focus on. And for me, the last over 10 years of my career, I can say that the most valuable skill that I've acquired has been the P.M.P certification. That has been the most valuable skill because it has been applicable in every single thing I've done since I took training and exams towards getting that skill to close my competence gap. So I really get excited when I see people also trying to take that path. Regardless of what you do, having project management skills would always be something of extreme value to your career. So I want to discuss basically how to go from where we are right now to where we want to be in terms of understanding what project management is, the P.M.P certification, how do we apply for it, what are the things we need to know towards passing the exam, there's some things that have changed in recent times, understanding these things before we take that commitment towards getting certified as a project management professional. So in the next 45 minutes or thereabouts, what we'll be looking at would be basically starting with understanding what P.M.P is, what is project management, who can apply for P.M.P certification. You want to know if you being here is even ideal. Are you supposed to be in this room? Have you always delayed thinking you are not eligible to apply for the P.M.P certification? We'll also be looking at the roles of a typical project management professional, as well as understanding the advantages, the return on investment, what are the benefits of even acquiring the certification, and of course, going through the process for the certification from step one to the last step. I want to look at that as well. And just a couple of weeks ago, there have been changes to the P.M.P exam content. I want to also look at that and then look at what we need to do to make sure we are ready for this change before we commit to taking the exam. And of course, finally, Kayode and the team would also look at, giving us information on how Kevron can support us in getting this certification. All right, so firstly, what is P.M.P? It's a very common acronym. P.M.P stands for Project Management Professional. All right, it's one of the most valuable, one of the most reputable project management qualifications in the world. It is the most popular, actually. All right, it is usually provided by the Project Management Institute, PMI for short, all right, based in the US. So P.M.P is the most common certification that provides confidence to other stakeholders that the holder of that certification has adequate project management competence to lead, direct, manage projects efficiently. All right, so the acronym for the certification is P.M.P. Okay. All right, so like I said, also, it is very popular and it is recognized globally. So it's not a certification that is only relevant in Nigeria or in Africa or just the UK or in the US. People are emigrating out of Nigeria in droves in recent times. They're going to Canada, they're going to UK, Australia. Most of those people, whether they are engineers, scientists, accountants, doctors, regardless of your field of endeavor, if you hold a project management professional certification, it is valuable wherever you find yourself. All right, and usually, no matter what we look at, how we want to look at it, if you look at value, one of the easiest ways to measure value is in terms of remuneration, right? And it's a fact, statistics show that, P.M.P holders, earn an average of 23 times higher than other project management professionals that don't have a P.M.P certification, right? So if you're a project manager in your organization without a P.M.P certification, and you have a colleague that's also a project manager on a project, but has a P.M.P certification, there are higher chances that the professional that has a P.M.P would earn more than the one that doesn't have a P.M.P certification. So, and for consulting firms, for example, Kevron, if Kevron has to carry out a project for a client, if Kevron has project team members that hold P.M.P certifications, it gives the client huge confidence in the fact that those project managers would ensure that project is efficiently implemented, within schedule, not going over budget and all that, and ensuring that they meet the quality requirements of the project. So it gives someone's mic is. Mr. Ojo. Okay, thank you. So it gives clients confidence when they know that the people handling their projects are P.M.P certified. They are always, confident that the projects would meet quality requirements. They will not go over budget. The project will finish on schedule and all that. So it's a huge investment for consulting firms and other businesses that provide, services to organizations by hiring professionals that are P.M.P certified. Now, very importantly as well, most people always, for me personally, if I invest in any certification, I always ask myself, what is the return on investment on this certification? Is this something I'm just going to do and add to my list, or is it going to give me, quite a valuable return on investment? All right. So according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics, now an average American worker comes home usually with around $47,000 per annum. All right, as of 2019. However, from the statistics as well, project management professionals take home a median salary of $92,000. Okay, so that's quite a difference. Now, also, for those that hold P.M.P certification, they even earn higher than ordinary project management professionals that don't hold the certification. And the statistics show that about 23% greater than those that don't hold it. So, if you are here in Nigeria, the same thing applies. If you are trying to leave Nigeria, the same thing applies. There are high chances that your remuneration, your wages, your salary would increase, the moment you acquire a P.M.P certification to demonstrate your project management competence. All right. So this was also a statistic from PMI, Project Management Institute, around a survey done for P.M.P salaries, by geography based on different locations and countries. So here you can see that in the US, if you have an experience of under 5 years, an average salary of $103,000 per annum. In the UK, is about $89,000. Canada, about $73,000 for basically, you will need to experience in project management. For those with 5 to 10 years experience, you can see that this also increases significantly. So this is to let you know that investing in getting a project management professional certification yields, significant return on your investment. So you can also find, and there's some statistics here also conducted to show salary average across different industries: engineering, aerospace, healthcare. You can see basically over $100,000 per annum for people that have project management competence demonstrated through certification. Now, on the right-hand side, something very funny is happening here, because you have people in the IT sector that already have good certifications, for example, the Microsoft certification. Now, having P.M.P in addition to that, you can see a difference of over about 15 or almost $20,000 extra by just having P.M.P in addition. Someone has ICU, also a project management certification, earns $94,000. If that person gets P.M.P in addition, it grows to $113,000 per annum. So these are just to buttress the fact that a P.M.P certification is hugely valuable. I have a friend that's in Canada, as a civil engineer, was actually one of my classmates in school, that was working as a civil engineer, I think project supervisor, quality control supervisor kind of. And I think he did the P.M.P, and within a week or so, he applied for a job, and he has a job in a different organization with the government there, and he's earning significantly higher just because he has a P.M.P certification. So that was a personal experience from someone I know. So I would advise you to take cognizance of the fact that it is a very, very valuable certification to acquire. I think Glassdoor, a human resource consulting organization, has done some research around what project managers earn across different companies in Nigeria. You can see some here as well. InfoSwitch, for those, I think about $145,000 for a fresh graduate or so. Up to some companies around Chevron and could earn 4.7 million, at salary and all that. So this is just to show you different, evidences of the fact that you can earn significantly high when you have this certification, even as a fresh graduate. We know we don't really have much, statistics abound in Nigeria, but these are just some independent research carried out. But the point is, project managers with P.M.P certification earn significantly high. All right, so who can apply for this certification? If you're here, you want to find out if whatever we're going to be discussing applies to you. All right, so who is eligible to pursue this career objective of getting a P.M.P certification? Someone's mic, please. So basically, senior members of the organization, the top management can apply for this because as a business owner, as a senior manager, you have to also manage several projects that your organization would also be embarking upon. Project managers generally, coordinators, project analysts, anyone responsible for planning or coordinating, projects, all right, within an organization are eligible to apply for P.M.P certification if they meet other requirements. Also, project team leads, all right, project officers, whoever is in the project office that is responsible for setting standards and guidelines around how they manage projects in the organization can also apply for this. Your managers, HR managers, quality managers, etc., can also apply for this. HSC managers, yeah, most HSC managers will also gain a lot by also being competent project managers as well. And of course, any other stakeholder that is involved in a project can also apply for the P.M.P certification. Okay. All right, so advantages of getting a P.M.P certification, like we were talking about earlier on, one of the most common advantages or benefits would be the increased earnings you would get by getting P.M.P certified. Your salary increases. Now, if you're a project manager, by virtue of being assigned some roles, naturally, you started learning on the job. If you acquire a P.M.P certification, in a massive way, your understanding of current best project management methodologies would also be increased. All right, you learn a lot about how to efficiently manage projects using current best practices. And of course, your P.M.P does not apply to only Nigerian employers. All right, so anywhere you find yourself in the world, your qualification would be hugely valued and acceptable as well. And of course, it gives you more job opportunities. Now, being a competent project manager means that you can work in a construction firm. If you find yourself in a consulting firm, you can apply that skill. If you find yourself in a manufacturing firm, you can apply the skill. If you find yourself in a bank, bank have, the way the world is going right now, there are so many new products and services that are coming out in form of projectized, activities. So any new product that's going to be unleashed in the market, there's always a project, to develop on before it gets deployed. So that also comes into play. And of course, your project management competence helps you generally have a better performance at your job because you're going to be learning a lot about communications management, risk management, quality management, stakeholder management. By the time you go through all that, the way you carry out your daily work would be greatly enhanced, all right, to increase your job performance. And like I said earlier on, it's applicable to any industry. The skill you acquire from this certification can be applied in any sector you find yourself. And also, we know that just like the pandemic that has been hitting organizations in recent times, some companies have started laying off, some have to try to survive by reducing their resources and all that. The truth is, those with P.M.P certifications that have extra value beyond just the primary job function most likely would be retained because you have extra skill sets that are valuable to the organization. So this will come in handy when there are recessions and economic downturns. And of course, getting certified also gives an opportunity to join a global PMI community where you get to network with project managers all over the world, with chapters within Nigeria in different cities and all that. And there are lots of benefits and business opportunities that can be obtained through that global community. So these are one of the reasons why people go for the P.M.P certification as well, to give them better chances in achieving their career objectives. Also, it's important for us to note that by the time, hopefully, you do your P.M.P examination, you pass it, you get certified. If you're appointed as a project management professional in your organization, what are the key things that are required of you? What does the project manager do? All right. For projects, it is expected, the project manager would be involved in leading and doing a lot of planning how the project will be initiated, how you're going to estimate the budget that will be needed, the risk that could affect the project, planning how to make sure that we track our work to make sure we're not behind schedule, planning how to engage stakeholders, knowing who your key stakeholders are, knowing how to keep them engaged, making sure they're getting reports as when due, managing. So it must be verifiable. So these are some of the the key things you must meet to be eligible for the P.M.P certification. All right. Now, if you are completing your form online, there's some key things that will be assessed, all right? Basically, your personal information, name, address, phone number, email address, and all that. You'd also have to write down the name of the school or high school or college you attended, and also define there how many contact hours of permanent training you've completed, okay? Now, the part that would take the most time in you completing your application form would be where you write your project management experience. So every project you've done, you have to spend time writing the name of that project, a brief description of the project, the start date and the finish date of the project, your role in that project. So these are start talking about what you planned, the aspects you executed there, the aspects that you closed down, the aspects you monitored, the aspect where you're involved in initiating the project and all that. It could take time. All right, so that is the aspect you have to complete online in your application form, and then you submit. After submitting, wait for 3 to 4, 5 days. PMI will get back to you on whether you'll be approved or not. So there are going to be 3 options. One is, congratulations, you've been approved. Go ahead and pay your fees. All right. Second option is, we need more information. You'll be selected for an audit process. We'll talk about that very soon. And the other one is, from what you've documented, we are sorry, you are not eligible to apply because of blah, blah, blah. So let's start with the first one, where you have the good news. So if, for example, you met all the requirements and then you get a message from them saying that you can now go ahead to apply for the exam fee. So 2 things apply here. One is if you've joined PMI before or you're not. So you're already a PMI member, you have some form of cost savings. It's not mandatory to join PMI, but if you join, you could end up saving costs in so many other things that they could offer you. So if you're a member of PMI, what you need to pay for the P.M.P exam will be $405 US dollars, please. If you're not a member, the price has always been $555. I remember when I did mine, $555. I think the exchange rate was like 120K then or so, 120K. And I'm sure I pay around maybe 100K or so. But now, $555, because of our currency situation, it looks quite much higher. So it's not compulsory to join, but if you join, you could save a lot. Now, if you want to save a lot of costs around other things, if you join PMI, a one-time $10 application fee is applicable, and then you pay your annual subscription fee of 129 US dollars, right, to be a PMI member. Once you become a PMI member, instantly you are given a free copy of the PM book. PM book is the official, program management book of knowledge by PMI. They also give you free access to on-demand webinars organized by PMI, peer-written other reviewed articles and business journals and program management books and all that. You'll be given free copies of all that throughout the year. Okay, and of course, if you become a member, the amount you're paying for your exam fee would also be reduced. Projects, in your organization, how you even draft or document your activities can determine whether you pass the review for your eligibility or not. All right, so some key things we looked at. All right, so please make sure you demonstrate activity around initiating projects, planning the project, executing the project, monitoring and closing the project. So for example, I could say that I was involved in carrying out feasibility studies or even carrying out a cost benefit analysis of whether to do the project or not. That's part of your initiation. I was involved in, risk identification, and also budget estimation for a wedding or something. That's part of your planning. I led a team of 3 or a team of 4 to carry out inspection across our 5 facilities in our organization during our HSC week. Execution. When you say things like, I carry out quality control tests, I did an inspection and testing on some of them. It's part of monitoring and control. Okay, so make sure you align, some of these. Part of what Kevron will be doing for anyone that probably wants to get certified, guiding you on how to even document your project management experience when you're applying. Also, for the 35 hours, like we said earlier on, 1 hour would mean 1 actual hour of training or instruction you received. All right, it could be from a physical class training, it could be from an online training. All right, they are all accessible by project management institutes. If for one reason or the other someone does not pass the exam, you still have 3 chances within 1 year to still retake the exam. Okay, and so once you pass the exam, you have between 6 to 8 weeks for your certificate to be shipped directly to you here in Nigeria. And of course, after the exam, you can immediately print out the e-copy of the certificate as well before your hard copy comes in. So as with other professional certifications as well, the PMP is not meant to last forever, all right? There has to be a commitment to continually, developing yourself, practicing project management, what you learned and all that. So the PMP has an expiration of 3 years, all right? So in that 3 years, you have to gather what we call 60 PDUs. A PDU is a professional development unit, all right, for you to maintain your credentials after 3 years, all right? So the PMI has defined 2 categories where you can acquire your PDUs. One is through the education and also through giving back, all right? So a PDU is basically an hour you spend on engaging in project management activities. Every 1 hour you spend in any of these things that we're going to look at very soon is going to be equivalent to 1 PDU. So let's list some of them. So the first one is around education, all right? So for every time you attend seminars, events, workshops, conferences on project management by project management, training providers and all, you acquire 1 PDU, all right? Also, when PMI as the body organizes publication quiz and you attend these quizzes and score at 70% of the assessment, you get a PDU as well. Also, if your university or your training organization conducts a project management course and you attend it as well, part of your education, you get the PDU as well. And of course, recently also, they allow you to also acquire PDU by reading project management articles, books, podcasts, blogs. Whenever you read the project management book, you can also log it in your project management profile and your dashboard there to also register a PDU as part of your continual learning. Another option is through giving back to the profession. Right? So in this case, some people actually write or author books, they author articles, they conduct webinars, they speak at conferences or project management and all that. Each time you do that as well, you can get a PDU. And of course, sometimes you can carry out some services they're not paid for to some organizations or even to your non-employer as well on some project management service. That can also earn you some PDUs. But you have to get letters or certificates from those parties to demonstrate and acknowledge that you actually carried out those services for them. All right, so it's a way of giving back. When you conduct seminars, you write books, articles, you conduct planning services for organizations that don't pay you. You go to schools, and do some, seminars and workshops on project management. You can send you a PDU as well. Right, so you need to acquire 60 PDUs within 3 years. Each time you achieve a PDU, only go to your PMI website profile and log it in there. So within 3 years, you can acquire 60 PDUs. And when you do that, you will now have to apply for a credential renewal. All right, so after 3 years, you have to get a renewed certificate that will last another 3 years again. So if you're a PMI member already, all you have to pay just $60. But if you're not a PMI member, you will have to pay $150 to renew your credential. All right, and they would also send you a new updated certificate within 6 to 8 weeks here in Nigeria. All right, so you can earn your PDUs for every hour you learn project management around technical project management, project leadership, strategic business management. Once you do any learning around this area, you can also help you earn some PDUs as well. So the cost of taking a PMP exam, just a summary, for the PMI members is $405, non-members $555. For those retaking, it's not free. All right, you pay $275 if you are a PMI member and $375 if you're not a PMI member. So in summary, to renew your certification, earn 60 PDUs, complete the form again for your renewal, confirm or sign that you're going to abide by the PMI Code of Ethics, pay your renewal fee, and also receive confirmation from PMI on your renewed certification status. Like I said, it lasts for 3 years, and you have to achieve at least 60 PDUs for you to be able to renew your certification. All right, so a very important part of our session today, the almost concluding part is PMP exam has undergone a major change. All right, so to some extent, I feel sorry for people that want to go through it now because you have to really adapt to the new situation, right? So before now, there was a structure to how the exam was done, but as of January 2nd, 2021, the structure of the PMP exam content outline has also been modified. All right, so now we have 3 domains. Initially, we had 5 domains. where they set questions around project initiating, project planning, project executing, project monitoring and control, and then project closing. Those are the 5 key domain areas. But now, because of the way business environments have changed over time and how project approaches have also changed, P.M.P has also tried to make a reflection on this, on how they, approach their own value spectrum. So the 3 main domains now are no longer the 5 we had before. They are now 3: people, process, and business environment. So the Pmp structure, for the exam, will be focused around people, processes, and then business environment, aspects of project management. All right. So what this would entail is that the structure of your questions will be around the people aspect of project management, the process aspect of project management, and also the business environment aspect of project management. These are going to be the key domain areas. And also there's a new term we have now called enablers. All right. So every exam now would have your domain areas and also the tasks they will be testing you around. The task here refers to the expected, responsibilities of the manager. For example, one of them will be something like, let's say, manage conflict, or let's say, control. You don't have to be submitting evidence of those things, but randomly they pick some applicants for audits. So what that means is, if they select you, you have to send documented proof of, first of all, your college degrees, your education, send proof of that, copy of your BSc degree or your high school degree, and also send proof of your contact hours. For example, you do a training with Kevron. Kevron would give you a certificate of attendance showing the course you came for in project management and the duration of that course, etc. That would be the proof of your contact hours. Okay. Also, all the projects you said you have been part of, there was someone that was also working with you on those projects that you're reporting to. All right. Your references would also be contacted, all right, by PMI directly to answer some questions about whether they know you or not, and if the information you put in your application is true or false. They would have to fill and send back to PMI directly. So until you have done this, your application will be on hold. All right. So this has to be done within 3 months of you being selected for an audit process. Okay. So if you pass that as well, and you've also paid the exam fees, the next thing is for you to schedule your exam date. So one good thing about Pmp is you can choose any date you want to write your exam. From the date you are given approval to the next 365 days, that's 1 year, you can choose any date you want to write your exam. All right. So most commonly now is a computer-based exam, but they still sometimes allow paper-based under some conditions. All right. So because of the pandemic as well, it usually prometric centers are the ones that coordinate the Pmp examinations around Lagos and other parts of Nigeria. But with the pandemic now, there is now a new development. You can actually write your exam in your home, in your bed, in your bedroom, in your sitting room, right, from your system. But of course, there are some quality controls that we put in place, frequent checks with your camera to make sure that the integrity of the exam is not being compromised. But you can write your exam online. Okay, so the CBT, the computer-based test, is the standard method of conducting Pmp examination globally as of today. So how is the exam like? People, when I did mine, to be very frank with you, I never knew when 4 hours elapsed. The exam lasts for 4 hours. I just sat down, finding it was 4 hours. Right? So it's going to last 4 hours. There are 200 questions. Out of the 200 questions, 175 are the ones that will be scored or assessed. The other 25 questions are just meant for research purposes. They're trying to test whether they should include them in subsequent, tests or not. They want to see how many people pass those tests to determine if they are too difficult and all that. So they're not going to be scored just for assessment. So out of the 175 questions, they are all multiple choice questions, options. All right, you have to pass correctly, 137 of those questions.
Apologies, I think we just lost Omo. So yes. We'll try and connect him back.
All right.
Please, all mics should be on mute, please. Let's put all our mics on mute while we try to reconnect the presenter. Thank you. Yeah, I think we've lost Omo again. Please be patient with us. I think we'll try and reconnect him. We are almost getting to the end of his presentation before we take some questions.
All right, apologies for the disruption. All right. So in the exam, there are going to be 3 domains to be assessed: 35 tasks and 133 enablers. So the enablers are usually around different specific actions that project managers will take. So during the training, you'll be put through all the enablers and the tasks and the domains. That's the essence of the training, to give you a formal project management training on all this. So it's a different structure. This is just starting from last month. It doesn't structure this way before. All right. So the truth is, to be realistic, it might seem a little more difficult for people that are doing primary. For example, you've done it before, you didn't pass. If you're able to do it now, it's a different structure and even more difficult unless you undergo a very, very good training. All right, so here you. All right, so 42% of the course, the exam questions will be around people, 50% of the questions will be around processes, and 8% will be around the business environment on the project management course outline. Okay, so this is an example of a domain process. And one of the tasks here is execute projects with the urgency required to deliver business value. So in the exam, they'll be testing your understanding of how to assess opportunities to deliver value, understanding of maybe SWOT analysis and all that. They'll assess understanding of your ability to examine the business value throughout the project, cost benefit analysis and all that. All that are part of what will be taught during your training. Okay, so this is how PMI is structuring the exam going forward presently. So like I said, it's taking effect from January 2nd. So initially, this is to be the old structure. You have 13% of the questions around project initiating. They will ask you questions around project planning, questions around project executing, monitoring and control. It's quite straightforward, but it's no longer applicable since January 2nd. So this is what we expect now in the new project management professional exam. And as we know, the world is changing. You have lots of projects in the IT sector now where you cannot follow the conventional predictive project management approach where you do initiating, planning, then you go to executing, monitoring and control and closing. It doesn't work that way anymore. People deal with projects that they have to make changes on a daily basis. Things are not done sequentially, they're done iteratively in iterations. And that means you cannot go with the predictive approach. You have to go with the agile approach, all right? Or even a blend of agile and predictive project management. For example, the COVID pandemic situation, if you notice, there are some particular governors that were just waiting. They'll get a directive from NCDC, then they will take a step and later. But there are some that on a daily basis, they were giving updates, they're giving results, they are checking on how to change what they are doing to improve the next day. So if you are doing things in sequence, you're trying to follow the predictive project management approach. If you are doing things with the agile approach, you are on a daily basis having stand-up meetings with your team members, you're having review sessions, you're looking at the problems of yesterday, how do you correct it, what are your plans for tomorrow? On a daily basis, you are implementing your project in iterations. So the PMP exam is going to be asking questions across both methodologies. 50% the predictive approach, 50% the agile or hybrid approach. All right, so this wasn't the previous structure. It's something we expect going forward now. So like I said, it's one thing for us to want it, and also, of course, do the needful thing, do a training. All right, a formal training is very, very essential. Even if you're experienced, if you're not formally trained in project management, you might still be carrying it out in inefficient ways. However, training is not enough. All right. First of all, get good training. All right. At least for 35 hours and beyond. 35 hours is not even enough from my own point of view. But additionally, I've seen people do the training and they go for exam and they fail because they don't do some other things. All right. Importantly, also, it's important for you to also carry out self-study. Adequate self-study. Right, so you have to bury yourself in the resource materials, study what you learned in class, combine different resources, the PMBOK and other materials, and also importantly, carry out a lot of mock exams, using exam simulators online and other software that can help you with that. Exam simulators are very, very good investments when preparing for the PMP. They'll give you an idea on how Pmp structures their exams, what to look out for, and all that. All right. So two very important mandatory reference books when preparing for the PMP exam is, first of all, the PMBOK, the 6th edition. That's the Permanent Book of Knowledge by PMI, and also the Agile Practice Guide. All right. Sometimes they can be brought together in one book. Okay. I think I have one that has the two of them. So very, very important, but it's not enough. So PMI also recommends some other reference books that you can see on the screen that you can also use to just read up and buttress or reinforce the information you've gotten from the other materials. But when it comes to the exam, there are some books that are just specifically designed to prepare you for the exam. Now, there's a legend called Rita Morkahi. All right, she has the PMP exam preparatory book, 10th edition. It's very, very useful when preparing for the PMP. You can lay your hands on it. Very important. And also the PMP Project Management Professional Exam Study Guide also. Remember your exam simulators as well when preparing for exams. Now, with this, your chances of passing the exams are very high, coupled with using a very competent training provider, for example, Kevron. So lastly, I've seen people that really feel sad after they've paid so much for the exam and they still do not pass the exam. PMP is an exam that, you have equal chance of passing and failing, depending on what actions you take. All right. If you do the needful, you pass. If you don't do the needful, you might not pass the exam. All right. So some of the common exam issues people have, or reasons why people find it difficult to pass the exam even after they think they paid so much. Number one is inadequate class training duration. PMI recommends 35 contact hours. So many training providers just do maybe 35 class hours. So maybe Saturday, Sunday for two weekends like that. So 7 hours, 8 hours, something like that. The truth is, it's not going to be enough. All right? I don't think it's enough. Of course, the training providers have a justification. You can't be paying so much for a trainer for so many days, so they just stick to 35 hours. Sometimes it might not be enough, and that affects many delegates. Also, sometimes using incompetent training providers, training providers are not really very vast in actually impacting knowledge and impacting the ability to pass exams to these delegates and all that, giving them scenario that would help them better understand these concepts and all that can affect the students as well. And then on the part of the students, some people believe that after paying some money to a training provider, that's enough. Without adequate self-study, burying yourself in simulation exams, the preparatory books and all that, it will be difficult. Like I said, you cannot pass it by rote learning, by cramming. You have to really understand this concept. Practice and practice, know where your strengths are, the areas where you take much time to do. 4 hours is not long. That exam, 4 hours will fly past you without you even knowing. So practicing, studying, on your own, knowing yourself, asking yourself, with the kind of person I am, do I have enough time? Am I working? Am I unemployed? Do I have enough time to study 6 hours a day, or can I just do 2 hours a day? Can I dedicate 3 months and be ready, or do I have to plan for 6 months? Can I do it in 1 month because I have what I'm doing? Understand yourself, plan your study properly, have a study plan, all right, to help enhance your chance to really pass this exam. And of course, people don't have enough materials. They don't even have the PMBOK, they don't have, other reference materials or books we talked about earlier on. They just go to class and deal with the class training material. Sometimes not having enough resources can also be a limiting factor when it comes to your chances in passing the exam. So from most feedback, these are some of the major reasons why some, delegates do not pass the PMP examination. So I think an important part of this would, I think Kevron would want to talk to us about how they can help us, in moving a step closer to achieving our professional career objective of passing the PMP exam. So at this point, I would give the floor to Engineer Kayode.
Thank you, Homo, for that presentation. Thank you, Homo, once again for the presentation. I'm sure we'll have one or two questions from the participants. As this question comes in, Elizabeth Abiodun will be picking those questions, and we'll want you to please address those questions as quickly as possible. I think you've mentioned one area that is very important, which I picked from your presentation. You did mention that sometimes we have participants who actually make use of some training institution who might not be able to offer the kind of support that is required for you to pass the PMP exam. And I think one other thing you also mentioned is that while it is important that you approach competent organization, training providers, it's also very important that you also spend sufficient time in preparing as well. Self-study is very important. And of course, you can't achieve success if you are only depending on approved training providers. But what is also very important is even when you spend time on self-study, you still need the right support from training institutions. So basically, I think both complement each other. So for us as an organization, what we've done, I know many of us here might have attended some of the trainings for 3 days. Most of the training providers run the PMP preparatory course for 3 days, which of course is not sufficient for anybody who is preparing for the PMP exam. Okay, I've done the 3 days training as well. And I know most of the feedback we've gotten from students is that the 3 days does not work. It's not sufficient for the student to pass the exam. So based on the feedback, what we've done at Kevron is to look at the number of days that we felt might be sufficient to at least offer the minimum support you need to enable you increase your chance for success. So for us, our preparatory class runs for 8 days. 5-day consecutive in-class training is virtual. We spent 5 days, and our lead tutor is the presenter today, Engineer Omo Elaboya. You agree with me that he's well experienced, and of course, we try to review our assessment, our course modules as quickly as possible, just to make sure that it's in line with the current reality. So what we are saying is that our training runs for 5 days consecutively. Then you also have extra 3 days. At the end of the 5th day, you run some simulation exam, but we also dedicate extra 3 days. And these 3 days are spread over different days, so that I know most of us are busy, we're busy at work. So after the 5 days, the extra 3 days is spread, making a total of 8 days. So the remaining 3 days, we'll spend those 3 days to prepare you for, we'll run a lot of simulation exams. You will have a lot of practice questions. So we expect that if you're spending 3 consecutive days outside the 5 days, that should at least give you some level of confidence that you've covered most of the things you need to increase your success in the exam. And of course, the extra for us is that, as you know, Kevron Consulting is an HSC and project management consulting firm. So for us, we are always involved in one project or the other. I've seen questions around, oh, do you support us with PDUs? Some people feel, oh, they are not confident enough. They've not been involved in projects before. So for us, we tell our students, come, don't worry, we have enough projects to put you on, to support you so that you can gain the right experience. Apart from the theoretical aspect, in terms of putting some of those projects into practice, being able to be involved on the project. So if you have projects, we contact you as well. You can also be part of it so that you can actually use what you've learned in classroom in practice as well. So those are different ways we'll support you as well. In terms of materials, we'll also advise on the right materials. Some students normally have this issue about exchange rates, being able to pay for international transactions and the rest. We can also support you with that. We have partners who also have access to being able to pay some international payments. So that's another advantage you also have. And of course, we make use of the best tutors you can think of. So you guarantee to have the right tutor who will guide you through the process. And for us, we don't just leave our students just to say, oh, just because we want to pass. We also ensure that we connect with the industry as well. So at the end of your training with us, because we are into consulting, and of course, when opportunities come, so what we try to do is to connect those who are sure have the right competency with our partners as well. So those are the areas we feel we could actually offer support. But basically, in summary, is that we can support you in making your international payments. We can support you in terms of giving you the project practical experience as well. And of course, in terms of preparation, we actually dedicate 8 days as against the normal 3 days everyone is used to, because we feel 8 days as a minimum is required for you to be able to pass the exam. And of course, because of the recent changes, for the past 1 year, the world has experienced one of the massive unfortunate incidents we've had so far in the past 1 year. The COVID-19 has changed a lot of things. The world of work has changed, and every professional institution continuously reviewing their internal processes. And of course, the way we offer education too has changed as well. So organizations who offer training as well also need to be up to speed in ensuring that your curriculum is not out of date. So that's why we're educating you as well to know that the P.M.P curriculum, the modules are changing. And of course, we are aware of that. And for our upcoming training at the end of March, we have our first training at the end of March. So you can contact us via info@KevronConsultingLtd.com. I'll drop the email address on the chat group. So if you want to join the next class by the end of March, preparing for the P.M.P exam, you can contact us and we'll give you all the details you need. And if you also have any questions, even outside today, you can also send your questions to us. The ones we're unable to take today, we'll send it to Omo for him to also respond. So I'll now I'll hand over to Elizabeth Abiodun to pick up some of the questions as they come. So that, and if you want to, I think we can also make use of the reaction icon. If you want to ask a question, you can use the reaction icon. So if I see that, we can unmute you so that you can ask your question directly as well. So you can either make use of the chat box or you make use of the reaction icon. Thank you. So Elizabeth, I don't know if there's any question at the moment. You can unmute yourself if there's any questions you want to ask Omo.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Actually, I'm not the one to ask questions, but I think other people have a lot of questions to ask. And they've been posting some. Okay, so I'll start with Mr. Adeolu Ojo. So he asked that, can we count training for advanced project safety management as hours of management training? So I believe Mr. Adeolu Ojo must have gone through the advanced project safety management with Kevron, and he's asking if the training can be counted as hours of management training as part of the requirements for registering for the P.M.P exam. So over to you, Mr. Omo.
Okay.
Omo, I think before you answer that, let me quickly say this, because some might not actually understand what advanced project safety management is all about. The advanced project safety management is actually a course offered by Kevron as well. It's actually a blend of project management training and health and safety. So the essence is that if you're an health and safety practitioner, it gives you additional knowledge about project management so that you can improve your efficiency and also work efficiently with the project team as well. And also project managers gives them what they need to know as regards health and safety on the project, or the health and safety documentation required, the basic documentation required when you are running a project, and the HS intervention at different phases. So it's just a blend of project management and health and safety, and it's an accredited course by IOSH. So at the end of the course, IOSH offers you the certification comes from IOSH. So, and coincidentally, interestingly, Omo is our lead tutor for that as well. And the essence is that we always prefer to use the best in the industry for our courses. So, Omo, would you like to answer that?
Thank you very much, Engineer Kayode. Mr. Ojo, a very interesting question. So one thing I want us to understand is the Advanced Health and Safety and Project Safety course is a blend of project management and safety, as Nakali just said. Now, in you documenting your 35 contact hours, if you are referencing that course, you have to reference only the parts of that course that talk about project management. So if out of the, I think it was 2 days or so, or 3 days we spent that course. So if out of the total number of hours for that course, you spend 10 hours on project management, it is 10 hours that would be applicable for you to reference from that course. Like I told you about mine, I use different approaches. I reference some classes I took from school and conference and all that. So you might not get the 35 hours from just that course. It's not going to be possible because the course also was talking a lot about health and safety. It's not an entirely project management course. So you could probably get 5-10 hours or so from that course, and then also show, evidence of you acquiring project management training from other trainings or other forms of education. All right, so that would not give you 35 hours alone from, that alone not give you 35 hours for project management, because it's a blend of project and safety management. I don't know if that answers your question, Mr. Ojo.
Yes, you did.
Right.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
I think I saw one hands up earlier. I think the person has removed the icon. So,
also. Okay, Sunday Dafe. Okay, no. Okay.
Okay, Ufia Ogo. Okay, Ufia, can you unmute yourself, please? Ufia Ogo. Okay, while we're waiting for Ufia to respond, can we get Ini Udo to you please ask a question? Ini Udo. Ini Udo or Ufia Ogo, any of you can either ask a question now.
Okay, while we are waiting for them to answer, some people just dropped the message on the chat group.
Okay, let's take 1 or 2 questions from the chat group before we go to Olumiwa.
Okay, from Aderisola Akiwumi, they said, will the renewal of the P.M.P certificate after 3 years continue consecutively after every 3 years?
Okay, I think I'd like to respond to that. So this is how it plays out. It can be confusing sometimes. So let's say you do the P.M.P in 2021. 3 years time, let's January 2021 to January 2024, it expires. Now in 2024, if you don't renew it, you'll be warned that it has been suspended. You should renew within a period of time, 1 year grace period. If you now end up doing it in 2025, 1 year has gone. So by the time you pay, what will be remaining is 2 more years. So you'll be getting 2021 to 2024. The next cycle should be 24 to 27. So they still expire on this in 2027, not 3 years after you pay. All right. So if you pay a day to the 3rd year, you have just a day left for it to expire. So that's how I try. If not, you stand the risk of losing your certification in entirety. All right. So once you're informed that it has expired, please try and make efforts to renew it on time. There's always a grace period because sometimes you could have issues with maybe transactions going through and all that. It's understandable, but if the cycle always ends from the last date on your certificate, even if you paid later on, you just have 3 years to the last expiration date, consecutively like that for 3 years. I don't know if I answered that question now, Ajay Inshallah.
Well, wait for the response. Okay, she said, yeah, you said yes, thank you. All right, so the next question, does one need P.M.P certification before practicing HSC project management?
Does one need P.M.P certification for practicing HSC management? The truth is, you don't even need P.M.P to even practice project management. All we are saying is, you could be assigned to be a project manager by anyone, by your boss or anybody. But we are saying that going through a P.M.P certification better equips you to more effectively carry out that role. Right? Anybody can be a project manager. Right? Anybody can be appointed to be a project manager. So it's just a fact. So for you to be a safety project manager, you don't need P.M.P to do that. But if you have a P.M.P certification, it gives you a better competence to be able to carry out that particular function more effectively.
Mr. Lucky, I hope we're able to answer your question. So the next question is from Godson Okpidu. Okay, he said you talked about support. Will your center help our students to build a workable plan towards achieving a P.M.P certification? Maybe Engineer K wants to answer that, or you?
Yeah, I think I did mention that earlier. The various level of support we can offer. I did mention even beyond the training, we actually give opportunity for work experience as well. You can actually have practical work experience. Then I also mentioned that we also support you in terms of making international payment if you're having difficulties with that. Then in terms of the training, I've mentioned most of the training providers, they run their preparatory class for three consecutive days. But for us, what we've done is we try to do some survey, and most of the feedback we got is that the 3 days is never enough. So what we've done is to expand our own training period to 8 days. We know everyone is busy. We know most of them are workers. So what we've done is to say the 5 days will be virtual. You spend 5 days, full 5 days, Monday to Friday. Then the other 3 days is spread over on different days. So at the end of your or the 5th day, we run some simulation exams. Then the extra 3 days is also used to sit for different. You do a lot of practice examination based on the current modules, and we spend the 3 days to review past questions. We also put you in stimulated intense 2 hours, 200 questions based on the current modules. Okay, so these 3 days actually spent. So by the end of the 3 days, we actually feel that you have the confidence to be able to say, yes, I'm ready to write the exam. And not just writing the exam. What we've seen is that a lot of people go through the course, but they end up not writing the exam. So for us, we actually need to also monitor you to ensure that at the end of your training, you are prepared to write the exam. And we are also there to also push you to ensure that you actually write the exam, not just saying, oh, I'm prepared, but you are not writing it. We also ensure that we motivate you enough to write the exam. So until you get your certification, we will not leave you. Thank you. I hope that answers the question.
To further buttress what Nakade just said, sometimes some students, after going through the training, would have difficulty in even documenting their experience. So sometimes we also provide support to guide you on, how to even log or document your project experience to give you higher chances of being approved, eligible to even sit for the exam. I've seen people that are very vast in their experience, but because they poorly drafted their project management experience, they were denied the approval to even go ahead and even make payments to their exams. So that support can also be provided for those that need it after the training.
Thank you, Omar. So can we take a question from, Elizabeth?
Yes, I think Adimshala asked Mr. Omon a question. Do we need to pay for the 2 receipt tests in 1 year? Like, since they're eligible to write the test, I think 3 times in a year. The other receipt, in case you fail the first one, do you need to pay for it?
Yes, I mentioned it during the presentation. If for a reason you don't pass the exam and you have to take the receipt, you have 3 chances. Each time you're taking the receipt, if you're a member of PMI, you pay $275. If you're not a member, you pay $375. So I usually don't want anybody to ever be in that situation. And so hopefully the training and self-study and all our resources and support will help you not be in that position. But yes, you have to pay.
Okay, thank you, Omar. So maybe we'll just take some questions from the hands raised as well. I think, so Olumiwa, please, can you unmute yourself before we go to EMP forwarding?
Yeah, good afternoon, Omar.
Hi, good afternoon, Olumiwa.
Yeah, thanks, Kayode. So my question is, can you share the pass rate from the last, say, 2 years?
Now, pass rate from Kevron or from PMI generally?
Okay, both. Kevron and...
So I'm going to answer from PMI generally. All right. So the reality is this: for PMI, the pass rate is over around 50%. All right, because of several reasons. All right. So for each center, Kevron and the likes, from people that have done trainings with them in one form or the other, the pass rate are always higher than the general industry sector. But people see P.M.P as difficult, but I always tell them how you define difficulty is dependent on you. If you know what to do and you don't do it, it will be difficult. If you know what to do and you do it, it will be simple. So for me, I'm not sure I'm anywhere near what you say as a very smart or the smartest person, but if I could pass P.M.P just leaving school, I think anybody can pass it if you are determined. Because for some people also, what I've learned also from experiences, people that probably are company sponsored, their pass rate is lower than those that are self-sponsored. There's this thing with you coughing up $555 to pay for an exam. Somehow you tell yourself, I can't do this thing twice. But some people know that even if they don't get it, company will still pay for it and all that. So, but for Kevron, I know not just P.M.P, all health and safety certifications Kevron does, the pass rate is almost 100%. But P.M.P, like I said, on a global scale, the pass rate, people say it's the toughest exam. Some people actually say P.M.P is the toughest exam to pass. But I don't think so. I just think people don't take advantage of some of the things that they should be taking advantage of, the resources, adequate self-study, training time, the simulation. If you don't do those things, it's going to be tough. But for anybody here, I can guarantee you that if you go through, good training, from the company like Kevron, you do adequate self-study, you use resources, sufficiently, you practice your exams very well, I'm very sure you would pass. I'm very sure about that. If you do the needful, you would.
Okay, thank you, Homo. Can we take the next question from Yemi Forwarding?
Hello, good afternoon.
Hi, good afternoon.
Mine is not a question, just a contribution. I must say, for me, the catch for this training, is the fact that Kevron is extending the number of days for the training to 8 days. If you have if you have attended trainings on P.M.P before, I think you'll be able to appreciate this, because I think I've attended like 2 trainings, and you find out that
I think we lost her.
Like 80% of
You're mute. You're mute. You're mute. Engineer Yemi, you're on mute. Okay, why is it?
You understand? At the end of the day, you find out that you all end up not writing the exam. So the fact that Kevron has decided to make this 8 days is a real plus for them. So if I'll encourage everybody, to be part of this.
Thank you. We didn't hear half of what you said anyway, because you were on mute. So let's.
Hello, you didn't hear half of what I said?
Yes, you were on mute.
Can you hear me now, please?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, I said that for me, the plus for this course. I said, is the noise from my end? Sorry.
No. Okay. Not from your end.
No, I said for me, the plus for this training is the fact that Kevron has decided to run this course for 8 days. If you have attended any PMP training before, you will appreciate it. I have attended like 2 classes, but you find out that 80% of people that go for PMP training, they don't write the exams. Why? Because the 3 days is not just enough. For us, for real, it's not enough. You attend the classes, they rush the classes, and at the end of the day, you have so many information and so little time. And then by the time you are now on your own, you get discouraged over time. Even though they try to set up WhatsApp group, after like 2-3 months, you ask yourself, Omo, I can't write the exam. You understand? So this approach is new, is different. You can't find it anywhere. And that's why I am keen into this. I'm sure those that have written the training, have gone for the training before, will be able to appreciate it. And if you haven't gone for any training, you're lucky to be here.
Thank you. I think that's for us. At least we, like I said before, the duration was determined based on the survey we also carried out and feedback from previous students about the number of days they actually used in the past to prepare for the exam, and which did not yield the results they expected. So let's take the next question from Ufa Ogo before I hand over to Elizabeth again. Ufa Ogo.
Okay, quick one. Good day, all. So my name is Dami actually, but I joined through Ogo Ufia's, and so that was why when you were calling Ogo earlier, it didn't really occur to me that I'm the one you're referring to.
Oh, okay. What's the name, please?
My name is Damilare.
Damilare, okay. You're welcome,
okay,
Damilare.
So quick one for me. Okay, I have Pmp certification already, Pmp certification already. But truth be told, I got my certification 2019, but I'm very skeptical of me maintaining it by the time it expires next year. So how can Kevron help me for renewal? Truth be told, I can't be too sure I have project management experiences that I can document for that renewal purpose as we speak. So I'm actually looking at going through educational routes to get it renewed. So I don't know. I think I'll need to talk to you guys to see how that's possible. I don't want to lose the certification anyway, and I don't want to write the exam again.
Yeah, I can understand where you're coming from. What you do is you go back, if you check the chat box, you'll see you can actually reach us via info@KevronConsulting Ltd.com. I'll drop the email again. So you just drop us an email, then we'll take it from there. Thank you. Can we have the next question from Emmanuel Harillo? Emmanuel, please unmute yourself.
Okay,
unmute.
Good afternoon, everyone. So mine is not a question. I think it's just to corroborate what I think Engineer